Leon spent most of his quiet evenings alone in the small frontier outpost house he had built on the rugged edge of the colony world's northern plain, believing the universe contained mysteries he would never personally encounter, especially since he often heard travelers claim that alien women existed but only in old tales, meant to amuse bored workers after long shifts. He had grown used to these stories and never granted them anything more than passing amusement. Yet a small part of him always wondered if even a fragment of truth hid behind those exaggerated accounts. A colony world itself was peaceful, far from the contested regions and far from the bustling trade hubs where other species occasionally passed, so he never expected anything unusual to appear near his door. For months he simply tended machinery, repaired survey drones, monitored climate readings across the northern plain, and lived a life that moved at a steady rhythm, neither thrilling nor disappointing, but quiet enough to suit him. He kept his home in simple order, securing tools in racks along the walls, tuning the generator, and checking the signal relays that linked his outpost to the nearest settlement station. That evening began like any other, with a mild wind brushing across the metal walkway outside, his door and the sky dimming from soft orange to pale blue as the second sun dipped behind the distant ridge. As he prepared a basic meal, he heard an unfamiliar sound that seemed like a sharp tremor in the air, almost like a vibrating tone produced by some device beyond his knowledge. The vibration grew stronger until it pulsed through the walls of his home, causing tools to rattle lightly and loose bolts on the counter to shift. Leon stepped outside, scanning the open field where long shadows stretched across the dry grass that rustled under a rising breeze. At first he thought his eyes deceived him, but the shimmering distortion in the field slowly expanded until it revealed a figure stepping through a circular veil of shifting light. The figure walked forward with trembling steps, clearly weakened, until she finally emerged into the fading daylight, revealing an alien woman unlike any he had seen in the digital archives of known species. Her hair fell like smooth metallic strands, glowing with subtle color shifts, and her skin carried a faint luminous pattern that flowed gently across her arms and cheeks, creating delicate trails of light. She wore a torn cloak of thin woven fibers that fluttered in the wind, and beneath it he saw armor plates shaped in elegant curves that suggested a ceremonial origin. Although exhausted, she held herself with an upright bearing that somehow conveyed both nobility and desperation. When her gaze finally lifted to meet his, he felt a sudden weight settle in the air, as if something significant had crossed the boundary of the ordinary world and entered his life without warning. The alien woman halted a few steps from his door, swaying slightly before steadying herself with a deep breath. She spoke in a soft tone that resonated strangely, almost melodic, yet clear enough for him to understand, due to the translator slips that automatically activated when encountering unknown languages. She addressed him by asking if he was the human engineer residing in this outpost, explaining that she had tracked a faint energy reading that led her to his location. He nodded slowly, unsure whether to retreat inside or rush forward to assist, and she introduced herself simply as Alara, claiming she carried a message of great urgency. Before he could ask anything further, her knees buckled and he rushed ahead, catching her with careful arms as she collapsed from exhaustion. Leon helped her inside, setting her gently on the bench near the heater while he retrieved water and a nutrient pack. Alara accepted the water with visible relief and explained that her transport mechanism had malfunctioned during emergency travel, leaving her stranded in a region she did not recognize. She revealed that she came from a distant star realm whose existence most human colonies considered only rumor, and she claimed she held the title of princess in her lineage, though her current situation left no space for ceremonial pride. He watched the faint light patterns on her skin weaken as she spoke, revealing how drained her energy reserves had become after crossing a vast distance through unstable transit corridors. Even though he had grown skeptical of dramatic claims from unknown visitors, he saw no falsehood in her tone or her condition, and he realized she needed immediate help. Alara told him that she fled from a threat pursuing her realm, describing a force that expanded across sectors by consuming energy signatures rather than engaging in direct conflict, leaving entire regions void of life. She had been sent to seek assistance from any species capable of detecting or halting the destructive wave. But her arrival point had been thrown off course by the unstable corridor, placing her far from her intended destination. She asked for protection only long enough to recover her strength and reestablish a signal link with her people, who were waiting for a sign that she had survived. Her voice wavered not from fear, but from pure exhaustion, and Leon recognized that she stood at the edge of collapse after carrying a burden that would challenge anyone. He assured her she was safe in his outpost, though inside he wondered whether sheltering her might bring unknown danger to his quiet life. Over the next hours, he used his limited medical equipment to improve her stability, scanning her energy fluctuations and adapting his tools to her physiology, guided by her calm instructions. She observed his resourcefulness with quiet appreciation, remarking that humans possessed an unexpected talent for adapting to unfamiliar challenges, something her people rarely acknowledged due to limited contact. Leon felt a strange sense of pride at her comment, though he quickly refocused on repairing a broken energy node near her shoulder plate, which pulsed weakly beneath the damaged armor. Alara explained that the node maintained harmony between her body and her innate energy field, so repairing it would allow her luminous patterns to regain strength. Through careful adjustments, he restored the node, prompting the patterns across her skin to brighten subtly as she whispered her thanks. As night settled fully over the plains, the heater cast warm light across the room, and Alara rose slowly, demonstrating regained balance. She approached the window and studied the distant horizon, watching the twin moons rise while remarking that she had never seen a world with such serene skies unmarked by conflict. Leon stood beside her, quietly marveling at the surreal sight of an alien princess observing his ordinary world with genuine wonder. She admitted she had feared humans were only legendary figures exaggerated by travelers who encountered them in frontier zones, yet finding him here had changed her view entirely. Her voice softened when she confessed she had expected mistrust from any species she encountered, but instead found unexpected kindness from someone who could have turned her away. The next morning brought a pale sunrise stretching across the plains, and Leon accompanied Alara outside so she could test the restored node. Her luminous patterns glowed brighter than before, tracing graceful lines along her arms and back as she moved with renewed confidence. She expressed gratitude again, stating that without his help she might not have survived long enough to reconnect with her realm, and she had misjudged how resilient humans could be under pressure. Leon felt slightly embarrassed by her praise, reminding her that he had simply followed instinct and basic decency. But Alara insisted that instinct shaped the future of civilizations more than grand decisions did. She then informed him that once she regained enough energy to activate her emergency beacon, she would contact her realm to coordinate extraction. As the day progressed, they worked together to repair her damaged cloak, restore her communication band, and calibrate the beacon so it could cut through the planet's atmospheric interference. Alara told him stories of her people's traditions, describing floating cities built on energy lattice, ceremonial gatherings that shaped light into living patterns, and ancient guardians that watched over their borders. Her descriptions filled Leon with fascination and curiosity, painting a picture of a culture that valued harmony and knowledge rather than conquest. She emphasized that the mysterious consuming force had taken them by surprise, because it did not behave like any known enemy, and her realm urgently sought allies who could help understand it. Leon listened carefully, realizing that her arrival might mark the beginning of a larger shift for humanity's role in the outer regions. Later that evening, as the sky darkened once more, Elira activated the beacon, sending a clear signal into the distant sectors where her people awaited news. She turned to Leon with a mixture of relief and lingering uncertainty, acknowledging that she would soon return home to warn them of the danger's rapid spread. Yet she also admitted she would remember his quiet outpost as the first place where she encountered a human who offered help without hesitation, shaping her belief about his species in ways she had never expected. He felt a strange heaviness knowing she would soon depart, but he kept his expression steady, reminding himself that he had played only a small part in a story far larger than his isolated world. Elira stepped closer, her luminous patterns pulsing gently, and she thanked him one final time for offering safety when she had nowhere else to turn. Before dawn the next day, a shimmering portal appeared in the field, much like the one she had used the night she arrived, though